as we all know, while programming in Coppeliasim vrep software, we use a programming language called as Lua. This Lua. Actually, you do not need to learn this Lua completely. If you know any of the programming languages like vrep, in vrep, for like if you know any other programming language like Python, C++, Java, anything, then you just need to understand the basic syntaxing of all those things and you can follow it like this. Talk about the data types in this. If you see the data types in this Lua, I have compared this Python, Lua and C++. So let's look. Like in, if you talk about C++ and we uh, talk like int and float, these are the data types. And the same way in Python also there is int and float. These all are the data types like we define like this. And in we talk about C++, firstly we define it, then we use it. This is automatically use it. But if you talk about Lua, then there is no such thing like int or float. There is no such thing like, there is only one thing called number, in which you can give it any value. According to the value it will arrange it. Means if you give it like this value, then there is no point, then it will make it a int variable. If you get it like this value, then it will make a float. It is more similar like a Python, but here in Python we have that data type, where in Python we have this float and int data types, but in this we have number. Same way, look one more thing. If you're coming from the background of C++, there we use comma and we define it. And if you come from Python background, we don't use anything. That's why I told you it is similar to Python. Look, because over here we don't use anything. We just give the value equals to and you can understand this. But in C++ we give comma. So take care of all those things when you write a code in Lua. Okay. Now let's talk about the string. In string, if you see in string, if we talk about in string, look, in string, if you talk about Python, we just use the character and we define it like this, and this we use semicolon. Here in Python we just directly give this to semicolons and you can use it that only. That's it. Even the same way is in Lua. You can see Lua is matching much more in Python, but there are also some differences. We will talk about them later. Okay, then there is Booleans. Booleans like true, false. True, false are called Booleans. It's the all same in this. If you talk about in any of the language, just only difference is the semicolon. And in this, there is no semicolon in Lua. And there is also null. I know if you have heard any other programming, you will have heard. If we in C++ we call it null or void. In Python it's null, and here also the null means the same. The important thing, one more important thing over here is this list. You could see this list like this list. In this list, it's the same as Python list. If you have ever, you can see over here different data types. Like this is integer data type, and this is string, and this is float. Those all can be used in a single format. This is called list. This is called list. As we know in Python, it's the same thing in Lua. You can use different data type, string, integer, all those things can be combined in one way. It's the same thing, but there is a difference if you notice properly. I told you the syntax is only different. If you'll notice this bracket, this these are the curly bracket over here, but in Python it is like square bracket. But if you talk about C++, there is no such thing in which you can combine all the basic data types. There is no such basic data type in which you can combine like string, float, integer. But you can do all those things using structure or class. If you have studied C++, then you can understand it, what I mean. But in this, we have this kind of data types, so you can understand what I mean. Means this is similar to Python now. Okay, then I think you got the basic idea of data type. My major point is over here is that you should understand how the syntax is different and how those what are their names and what are the basic data types. There are some more data types in Lua, but it's not important for us. Means for while doing robotic simulation, it's not that important. That's why I'm not going to tell you all those things like function is also having a data type, but I will not be talking about all those things in this. Okay, now next we will talk about conditional statement. If you see the conditional statement here, also notice the syntax. Firstly, let's see the Python syntax. No, not the Python. Let's see the C++ syntax. Look over here. There is brackets that we use. In C++, we use the bracket and semicolons. And if and in this bracket, without bracket, you can use anyway. If you talk about in Python, look, this is the change. We use this kind of parenthesis. And if we talk about Lua, look, there is a difference. I told you, na, syntax is only difference. There is then and and, but there is no such thing in this too. Those things you have to notice. There is then and and. And one more thing you should notice, like if you talk about in C++, it's if, then else if, then else. If you talk about in Python, if, if, these are together, if, then else. And this is similar to C++, if, else. Look, some things in Lua language is similar to Python, some are similar to C++. That's why I'm telling you all those things so that you can understand the Lua properly. You don't need to learn a new language like Lua proper programming. Even I didn't learn it properly. Just I understand the difference in the syntax, like all those things. Just that much is enough. Now coming to while loop. While loop also, in while loop, first of all, one thing you should notice in all of them, at the end, in any of the conditional sentence in Lua, we will always use and. Look and. But there is no such thing in all this language. Okay. Secondly, if you see the while loop and for loop also, there is do, do and, do and, do and. Those two things. Syntax. Notice the syntax. Over here, notice this. In this bracket, the simple brackets, semicolons, no semicolons. I'm telling you again and again, says no semicolon. You come from the background of C++, then you will only understand the semicolon is there, but no need of semicolon over here. Now you can see there is no semicolons and do and to remember these things, do and. Rashly everything I know you can understand this, that what is it is doing while loop. It is an incrementing value one by one. It's the same way from 1 to 4. It is incrementing one by one till the 4. It is printing out over here. All these things are just similar. All these things are just similar. In this it will be C out, C out. Just all these things are similar in this, but the major thing that you have to notice is this the difference in syntax. If you understand, then it is very easy for you to write Lua codings for robotic simulation that we are going to talk about in vrep. Okay, next some more important things. Functions in Lua. Function in Lua. If you see the function in Lua, look, firstly, if you from C++ background, then you notice, firstly you should notice this, that there is function written over here which we don't write in C++, neither in Python we write this. And if you talk about in Python, we like define this def, we do like something like this, def we do. And if you talk in case of C++, then over here we give int like return type. Even notice there is no return type. There is no return type. Neither there is return. There is no parameter data types like we do in C++. And this is the keyword that you need to use, like we use in this Lua. This is the keyword. Function is the keyword. Remember this. Then in function rest everything inside over here you can understand. And one return type, return type. In return type it's written like this only, but over here there is no data type. Notice there is no data type. But in case of C++, we give our data type. Return data type means over here we give the data type, but here there is no data type. So you can understand some of the difference. I hope you are understanding this. And even this is the function definition, and this is the calling, function calling. When you call some function, it is the same way. In this also there is just write the name. This is that function name, and we wrote the name and we gave the parameters. This is the same if in C++ or in Python. Now one more important thing that you should understand, which is neither there in Python nor in C++, the indexing. Supposing this is an array. Okay, this is an array. If you see the indexing in Python, it starts from 0. And in the same way, it's in C++ it starts from 0. But over here, indexing, you can see this indexing starts from 1. Notice, remember these things. These are very, very important things. When you will start coding, then you may get some doubt that why here over here it's 1, not starting from 0. Those are the things that you should know. If you know all these things basics, then it's more than enough to code anything in Lua for robotics. And one more thing, length operator. Length operator, one thing is there that in length operator, if you see, this is the length operator. You notice this has. If supposingly this is a list, this is a list. If in list before that, if you put this has operator, then it will return the size. What is the size? If you see the size, how many size it is holding at present? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and its size will be 5. Means if in front of any data type, if you write like this, then array or something like list, then it will return the number of values present, means the list size or the size. Those things are not there in C++. That's why I told you this is also a very important thing. In future you will see in codes written like this. Then I think now you can understand. Okay, and after this next video I will show you in vrep how it is going to do all those things, how a coding is done in vrep and child script, all those things. Okay.